There's no doubt about it, Dallas is hot in the summer, but the record-breaking heat wave of 2011 and the drought that we experienced got some of us to thinking, are we experiencing global warming in Dallas right here, right now? To answer this question, a small group of Dallas area residents wanted to see if we could connect the dots between recent weather events and those of the past. We looked at the number of days each year that reached 100 degrees or more, starting with 2011 and going back 110 years, to see if it's just always been hot in Texas or if something has changed.
And what we found was striking. From 1902 to 1911, there was an average of 8 days per year when temperatures reached 100 degrees or more. But then by the 20s, we see our 100 degree plus average double, up to 16 days. Then we coast along, leaving the average of 8 days in the dust, till we start our climb again in the 90s with an average of 20 days, and then we hit our last 10-year period with an average of 24 days at or above 100 degrees in a year. Instead of averages, if we look at the total number of days per 10-year period, the impact is even greater. Generally, the first 10 years of the 20th century, Dallas saw 82 days at or above 100 degrees. By our recent 10-year period, Dallas saw 238 days at or above 100 degrees. So to answer our question, yes, it's getting hotter in Dallas, a lot hotter.
And with so many more hot days, there are unavoidable consequences. And in Dallas, what we have to worry about is drought. And drought sets the stage for wildfires. In 2011, Texas saw the worst one-year drought in recorded history. The drought caused billions of dollars in damage for the state.
On an average summer day, though, these climate trends are experienced in the form of miserable, even life-threatening heat.
There's a global rise in temperatures, steadily and slowly. It's called global warming. The number one reason for this is the rise in levels of carbon dioxide, CO2, in the atmosphere. Now, CO2 is harmless in the right portions, but when it's in excess, it traps more heat from the sun.
Using NOAA data that looks back thousands of years ago, we see that CO2 levels in our atmosphere never have risen above 300 parts per million, until now when they're at nearly 380 parts per million. This climb started around 1860. The beginning of the fossil fuel revolution, when people began burning oil, coal, and gas to power their factories and eventually their automobiles. And burning fossil fuels gives off huge quantities of CO2. And scientists warn us that unless we stop the release of such vast quantities of CO2 and other greenhouse gases here in Dallas, as all over the world, heat waves will get worse. The summer of 2011 was just a hint of what's to come.
This isn't a problem that's going to affect someone just 100 years or so from now. This is affecting us right now. And it will for decades to come. So what can we do? Compost, change our bulbs to CFL and LED bulbs, use public transportation. Yes, these are things that we should be doing right now. But this is not a problem that we created alone. And this is not a problem that we alone can solve. We need our public policymakers, our elected officials to make policy to shift us away from dirty fossil fuels.
Instead, we need to emphasize renewable resources.
Our addiction to fossil fuels will never be solved until we make our representatives hear our voice and create this as a national priority. And that's what we're going to do. We connect the dots between extreme weather patterns, heat waves, and drought in the Dallas area, global warming, rising CO2 levels, and burning of fossil fuels. We won't settle for our government telling us no and denying that there's a problem. Starting now, this is our priority. Please join us.